Hey, what's going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? It's your boy Ed Honcho, and I'm back in action. I've been on hiatus for a minute. Had to start it up, change it up, do some new things. Anyway, today, man, I'm gonna talk about the Texans. My favorite team. I've been a day one Texans fan since the inaugural game. I was in that thing, um, and a couple of things about Texas. Why I'm in a conundrum as a Texans fan right now, and so will many other fans, and I'm pretty sure some Dallas fans too. So it goes like this. So the Texans made a major move yesterday, and I mean, magically, I have no idea how Rick Smith pulled it off. Rick Smith is a god, and this is coming from a person who was on Team Fire Rick Smith for the last, I don't know how many years, but to shed that contract and lose a two for it, basically, I think that's worthwhile. Um, but my thing is this. Everybody saying we're doing this in a move to make a play for Tony Romo. Here's the deal. As a Texans fan, and even though there's no real legitimate reason why, there's this in-state rivalry with Cowboys fans. I guess since the first game, it's just been like that, big brother, little brother type thing. Even though, in my opinion, the Texans have been more successful in the playoffs, I guess you could say, uh, than the Cowboys in their tenure. But anyway, it's all irrelevant. I mean, he's going to start a whole thing. I'm trying to get away from all that because I really try not to talk about the Cowboys because there's no point, but somehow it's unavoidable. But here's the thing is, for years as a Texans fan, we've been talking shit, bashing Tony Romo and talking about why he's garbage and, this, that, and every other reason because he's a Cowboy. No other real reason other than that fact. I mean, because really the guy's a decent quarterback, and every now and then he'll just have some blasphemous games, but much better than a Brock Osweiler. I'm not saying I'm excited about it because I think he's brittle. I think he's Mr. Glass, and not to knock anybody. The flaming football is a brutal sport. Anything can happen to anybody at any time. But I just don't think. I think get him as a free agent. Like I said at the time, as I'm recording this, I'm not sure of any updated information. I just kind of woke up and I was actually surprised about the Brock Osweiler trade because when I go in a lockdown mode, I tuned everything out. And I just happened to check my phone. I thought somebody was trolling me or something. But anyway, um, so as it goes, as a Texans fan, though, we reach this dilemma because we've been talking shit about Tony Romo for so long. But if he was to come to the Texans and be successful, how many of us would have to eat that crow? And then again, as a Cowboys fan, how do you feel about that? Because Cowboys fans, it's a constant shit talk. Even though you'll hear a lot of, oh, we're Super Bowls and or we're too good for that, but they still find some way to bring themselves down to the level of any Texans fan. And disclaimer: I don't like most Texans fans because most of them are not knowledgeable about the game. You got a lot of they're not Texans fans. They're J.J. Watt fans, and J.J. Watt's really good. Don't get me wrong. Nowhere near, never, ever will be my favorite Texan. And that's not to knock anything that he's done. I thought he was a super pick when they drafted him. Unlike most people who booed and thought it was a horrible pick, who now probably his biggest fans. But anyway, um, so that's a dilemma we see. That I say. So if you're a Cowboys fan, do you discredit anything Romo has ever done for you because he became a Texan? And I mean, I know it's not as bad as him saying going to Washington or Philadelphia or something, but there's this in-state beef that is prevalent around these parts. I don't know how much more so up in Dallas, but in the Houston area, definitely. So I'm just saying, I mean, if you're a Texans fan, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about Rick Smith making that move? Because I know there was a lot of people who felt like, man, Rick Smith is garbage, he's trash, he's the worst GM ever, he's really just kind of average, a little below average maybe if you really look at his record. He hit really well in the first round a lot of times, and then his kind of record after kind of trails off. But all I'm saying is, if you're a Texans fan, man, how do you feel about the Texans picking up Romo? Hopefully not for a trade, but you can get him off as a free agent. And if you can get a good price for him, I say test it, but not in a trade where you're going to really lose some valuable assets for it. I don't think it's worthwhile at all. That's just my opinion, though. So I woke up this morning thinking about it. Like I said, I wouldn't be completely opposed to, having Romo on the team. But then again, at the same time, not spending too much for him. So that's just my spiel. I'm Ed Honcho. The Texans conundrum. Tell me how you feel about it. If you're a Cowboys fan, how would you feel about Romo being in a Texans uniform? Does that devalue anything that he ever did for the Cowboys? Or do you lose, respect? I mean, if he willingly goes, how would you feel if he goes to the Texans and they make a real run at the Super Bowl? If you're a Cowboys fan. If you're a Texans fan, I mean, yeah, it's the same thing. You kind of reach the same dilemma. So what if Romo comes in and takes you to a Super Bowl? All that shit you talked about him. How do you feel about that? I mean, how do you, I don't know, because I'm in the same dilemma. I don't know how you would personally feel. I mean, I probably would be happy because it's a fucking Super Bowl, but at the same time, yeah, I definitely would definitely have to eat a lot of shit for the shit I talked about Tony Romo, and I still talk about him. I probably still would talk about him, talk shit at least for the first 8 games, depending on what the record is, if he was to come. But like I say, there's a couple other good quarterbacks out. I won't say good. A couple other quarterbacks out on the market just in case this falls through. So I think the Texans were brave in making that move and getting rid of Osweiler. I mean, I was prepared to endure another season of the Brock lobster, the Brock bottom. If you smell what the Brock is cooking, and I mean, it stinks if you do smell it. Uh, I was ready for it. So, anyway, like I said, I'm gonna get up out of here. If you're a Texans fan, let me know what you think. If you're a Cowboys fan, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinion. It's the Ed Honcho Show, or whatever you want to call it. It's just me with a YouTube channel. Holla at your boy.